Today we're going to be talking about how to find the slope from 2 points, okay? Also from a table and an equation, all right? So let's start off with the 2 points. You are going to use an equation. There's a formula. This is going to be on your formula chart in order to find the slope, and that will be that the slope, remember, m is always going to be our slope variable, and we are going to use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so just like before, our y's are always going to go on the top for slope. And so these are going to be the steps that we're going to have to use to simplify those, right? So the first one is we're going to label the points as x1, okay, comma, y1, and x2, comma, y2, right? After we label them, we are going to substitute them into the formula, and then we will simplify, okay? It's going to be important while you're doing this to use your calculator. So you want to get your calculator handy so that you can make sure that you are simplifying your variables correctly, right? So when we go to our calculator, we are going to want to use Desmos.com. So go ahead and open up Desmos, and you want to go to the scientific calculator. That's where we're going to be able to do the simplifying and all that kind of stuff. So you want to open up the Desmos scientific calculator, okay? So for the first example, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label my points, right? So this is going to be x1 and this is going to be x2. The reason is this is the first point and that's the x value, second point, x value. Okay, coming down here, I'm going to have y1 and y2, same thing. First point y value, second point y value. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to substitute those values into my formula, right? So y2 comes first, so I will have my 4. 4 minus y1 is going to be 6 divided by 8 minus -8, okay? Remember, the formula has a minus and this 8 has a negative. Both of those are going to stay there, okay? We're not going to only put one. That will give us an incorrect answer. We need to make sure we have both of them, okay? So we'll come over here and we will go ahead. If you see this like A over B button over here, we want to go ahead and press that, and then we're just going to copy exactly what we wrote down. So not everything after the equal sign, you're not going to put the m equals, you're only going to put your fraction. So you have 4 minus 6 on the top. Sorry. On the top, you'll have 4 minus 6, and then on the bottom, we had 8 minus -8, okay? In Desmos, you don't have a separate button for the minus and the negative, so it's going to be the same button, unlike your TI Nspire. So when you're in class, those are separate, different buttons, but not on Desmos. So we'll go ahead and press enter. And as you can see, it gave us a decimal. We do not want a decimal. We want it to be a fraction. So you just press this fraction button and it will convert it for you. So our answer is going to be -1 over 8. Okay, so we'll come back over here and we know that our slope is going to be -1 over 8. Okay, and it's just that simple. You just plug it right in and get it. So if we look at this one, x1, y1, x2, y2, we will go ahead, plug those in. We'll have -8 minus -5 divided by 7 minus 6. Okay, so we'll go over to our Desmos. Same thing, press this fraction button, -8 minus -5. Again, the negative and the minus are not different on Desmos. They are different on your Nspire in class. And then on the bottom, we will have 7 minus 6. Okay, and we get -3. So that will be our answer. M equals -3. Okay, now let's look at some tables. Okay, so if we go down, let's see. to look for the instructions of how to calculate slope from a table. Okay, you can use the same formula that we just used, or you can just look for the change in y over the change in x. Okay, so naturally, if you're thinking about change, you're going to use subtraction, right? If somebody asked you, how much did something change, it's going to be a subtraction operation there. So we say, okay, change in y over change in x. Remember, y is always going to be on the top of our slope fraction, right? So the change in y, if I look, okay, from 2.5 to 3.5, how much did that change? That will have changed 1, right? It went up 1. From 5 to 7, that changed 2, okay? It will be plus 2. So my fraction would equal 1 over 2. The answer would be 1/2. Okay, over here, okay, you could do the same thing, or if you wanted to, you could substitute them into the slope formula that we used in the previous problem. So I'm going to show you how that looks. Let's say this is x1, this is x2, y1, y2. So you would just say, okay, slope equals -20 minus -14, okay, over 6 minus 3, right? And you would just same thing, go to your calculator, -20 minus what was it? I forgot. 14 divided by, okay, oh, I forgot I have to put it in my fraction at the beginning. Okay, I can't do it now. To do it at the beginning. -20 minus -14 over 6 minus 3. And we'll get -2. Okay, so our slope here is -2. Okay, if we had gone ahead and checked the changes, let's say, okay, from -20 to -6, that is going to be -6. From 6 to 9, that is going to be +3. So -6 divided by 3 still equals -2. You can do that either way. It doesn't matter which way that you want to choose to do it. So if we come down, we're going to look to see how do we find the slope from an equation. Okay, the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, you should remember from 8th grade, is y equals mx plus b. Okay, and the m is always going to represent slope. The equation of a line in standard form is ax plus by equals c. Okay, in order for us to find the slope, we must solve for the variable y. We always want to get y by itself. We've done some practice problems like this, and all of these will have two steps to them. The first step is going to add or subtract the x's to the right. Okay, and then we will divide by the coefficient of y. Okay, so these first ones up here at the top, they are already in slope-intercept form. We don't have to do anything with them, okay? So these are already in y equals mx plus b. So it's pretty easy to see which one would go ahead and be the m value. In this case right here, it's -1/2, okay? So the m would be -1/2. Over here, it's going to be y equals mx plus b. So the slope would be 4. Okay, pretty simple. If it is in standard form, you're going to have to do a little bit more work. So let's look at example 3. Okay, the first step is always going to be to move the x's to the right. So the opposite of -3x, or the inverse, is going to be plus 3x, plus 3x. Okay, this is going to cancel out, and I'm going to be left with just 4y. When I rewrite these on the right side of my equation, I need to put my x's first since I'm trying to get it into y equals mx plus b. So I gotta have those x's first. So I'll have 3x plus 24. Okay. Then I will divide both sides by 4. Remember, you have to divide every single term over here by 4. Okay, so 4 divided by 4 is 1, y equals 3 over 4 does not simplify. If you're not sure if something simplifies, you can always do it in your calculator and then see if you put something on here that does simplify, let's say 4 divided by 8, it will tell you, okay, that's going to be 1/2. Okay, so if you need to check, you can always use your calculator there. So 3 over 4 is still going to be 3/4. Then we have our x. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Okay, so now we can see our slope is the y equals mx plus b is this m value. So it's going to be 3/4. Okay, we do one more of those. We're going to have to move the x's. The opposite of positive 6x will be negative 6x. Negative 6x, right? Over here it cancels. This minus has to stick with that 2y. It's not going to leave it. And then don't forget, I'm always going to put my x's first, negative 6x plus 8, right? And then we will divide both sides by negative 2. Everything on the right side has to get divided by negative 2. These will cancel because negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. Then I'll get y equals negative 6 divided by negative 2 is positive 3. Again, anything that you're not sure about, go ahead and just do it in your Desmos calculator to make sure that you're getting these answers correctly. You want to make sure that you're using your calculator on as much of this stuff as you can, right? So we have positive 3x, and then 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. So we know that this is going to be y equals mx plus b, so the m would be 3. Okay.